I turned 45, and so I missed a cycle, and I was due for my checkup, so I mentioned it to the doctor I was going to. She did a blood level check on me, and they called me 3 days later and said, "You're going into menopause, and would you like me to write you a prescription for Premarin?" And I'm like, no, wait, I need to digest all this. I wasn't expecting to hear this. Through the next year, it was kind of just an up and down battle of erratic cycles. And then my cycle stopped and the hot flashes came on pretty heavily. I would feel the rush of this heat rise up through my body. My face would be on fire. I could tell that it was beet red, and then the sweat would just start pouring down my forehead, throughout my body, and you just want to rip your clothes off and run out of the room. And couldn't do that. And I finally decided that was the time that I had to figure out what was the best for me. I actually started more in the bookstores, and I just went home with the books and I read them all, and they all gave me different, they were all on different, whether it was vitamin therapy or, hormones. And there really wasn't anything on bioidenticals at the time. This was about 6 years ago. So I tried to talk with my doctor at the time, who basically told me that I was an educated woman and I should be able to figure this out for myself, but if I wanted a prescription for Premarin, she'd be happy to write it for me. I thought, being a female, that she would definitely want to sit and discuss it with me and have that conversation. And when she shut me down, I was in shock. And then I went home and I got angry and I was furious. I just didn't feel like they gave me any good options besides the Premarin. It's a frustrating process in a way, because you kind of feel alone out there. And I tried to go ask people, if they knew of anybody that was doing anything, and a couple of friends of mine's mother actually had just started the Bioidentical, so that's led me down that path of just researching that as much as I could. I went to see the doctor that I see now. He's a holistic gynecologist, and sat with him, and we spent 3 hours discussing bioidenticals, and it felt, when I left there, that was the solution for me. They did an extensive blood and saliva test on me, which they have to send out to a lab, and in 3 days comes back and it measures all your estrogen levels, progesterone, testosterone, so you know exactly where you're at when you start the medicine. I was like at the bottom barrel of every one of them, at the lowest I could be. So he, based on that, is what he decides how much of just an estrogen patch is what I use, and then a cream that I put on twice a day from a compound pharmacy. And a compound pharmacy is different than a regular pharmacy because they make the drug right there, specific to your needs. My progesterone, my testosterone, and my estradiols, which is different than just straight estrogen, comes out of this cream. And I have a specific measurement, and I put it on twice a day. In the morning, I use this side of the arm. In the evening, I do this inside of this arm. And then the next morning, I may do my stomach. And then the evening, I'll do the lower inside of my calf. And then I kind of just repeat the cycle again. And then every couple of days, I rotate the patch from one side of my hip to the other side. I think I just wish that I stood up more to some of these doctors that tend to just have that one view of the world. Those doctors that prescribe Premarin and only Premarin had their view on that, and they were going to promote that. And then there was the holistic doctors that, really kind of believed in the bioidenticals, and they were going to kind of promote that. So I knew that going into this. That was the one thing I had to really, look at and say, okay, there's just going to be two sides of the fence, and I have to read them both and just figure out the best one for me. As long as I'm on the medicine, I'm good to go, and I don't feel like I'm in menopause at all. I feel great and healthy, and they really keep me balanced.